It's hard not being able to see a future on Earth when talking about why researchers chose Mars instead of other planets in our solar system. The future is so uncertain. The question about whether we can survive on Mars as humans have been long answered by several researchers. In fact, many of them have concluded that we can survive on Mars just fine. The question is whether we will be able to thrive. It's the difference between surviving and thriving. In this video, we will be discussing the possibility of humans relocating to Mars in the next decade. Is a human Mars mission possible? The answer to this question is yes. It is possible, but not for a long time. We simply don't have the technology yet, and it will take time to make it happen. But there are better questions. Is a human Mars mission possible? And if so, when can it happen? Mars is considered to be safe for humans because its environment is somewhat similar to Earth's. The planet's atmosphere is made up of mostly carbon dioxide with a small amount of nitrogen and argon. There is also a thin layer of water vapor which helps to keep the planet warm. Mars is home to polar ice caps made of frozen carbon dioxide. And the planet has abundant supplies of water in the form of ice and permafrost. The soil on Mars is also very similar to that found on Earth and is made up of basalt, which can be found in volcanic rock. This then begs the question, how soon could humans actually get to Mars? The first thing we need to do is get people into orbit. Pioneer space companies such as SpaceX is currently working on this. And they do plan to launch their first manned mission in 2024. The timeline for these events isn't set in stone yet. But if all goes according to plan, there's no reason why it won't. It's possible that humans could be on the red planet as early as 2024. Yes, that soon. The amount of travel time for a trip to Mars takes 7 months. And while it sounds like a long time away from home or family or friends, there are some advantages of living out in space. No gravity means you have more room than usual. Sleeping in zero gravity feels pretty nice after living with gravity your whole life. To achieve our goal, do we need to terraform Mars before sending people there? As the Mars 1 project has shown, terraforming Mars is a long-term project. It would take a lot of resources to make it habitable for humans. But there are other ways we could do that. For example, scientists have been looking into how we can use microbes as our roommates so that they can help out with things like recycling nutrients and cleaning up water by breaking down the chemicals in it. Another way is through technology. NASA has already developed rovers that are equipped with cameras and other sensors that can detect what's going on around them. Think Star Wars droids. These robots could help us learn more about how life works on other planets. In fact, one such project was recently funded by Google's Lunar X Prize competition. It involves sending robotic explorers out into space and seeing if they can survive without any human intervention until they reach another planet, namely Mars. From different speculations from the media, will SpaceX get there first? SpaceX is planning to send humans to Mars in the next decade. The company's first step toward that goal is building a new spacecraft called the BFR, or Big Falcon rocket, which will be able to land on Mars and then return to Earth. SpaceX has already built a prototype of this rocket, but it hasn't been tested yet. If you think about how much technology you need for something like this, a craft that can launch from Earth into orbit around our planet and then travel out into space at almost 11 kilometers per second, you'll realize how much work goes into making sure everything works properly before they even begin testing their first flight model. What then is the best architecture for a Mars colony? The Mars Society is a non-profit organization dedicated to the exploration and colonization of the Red Planet. It has an extensive library of information on how humans can live on Mars, including their plans for building and utilizing habitats, as well as other structures such as processing plants and power plants. The Society also has a plan called Mars Direct, which involves sending astronauts directly from Earth's orbit into orbit around Mars, while they wait out the journey at least once every 2 years. This would take about 4 years. During this time period, they would use robotic arms to extract soil samples from various locations on the planet's surface to determine what types of conditions exist there today, so we can learn more about its characteristics before moving forward with human settlement attempts later down the road. The technology to launch people into space is already existent, but it also has its limits. The fact that we can send people into orbit means that we can put them there, but not necessarily bring them back, which is a bit of an issue. The human race is on the brink of sending a manned mission to Mars. There is still so much that we don't know about this project, in addition to how it will affect our future. But it is exciting to think that one day we may have people living on another planet.